we are seeing mobilization along ethnic lines such that the election is turning out to be a competition between tribes and communities, such that when one community, president from one community, for example, wins, it is seen as a loss to the other community.
The issue of land in Kenya is the hot political potato.
The only reason the British ever came to Kenya was because they wanted our land.
At independence, only 20% of Kenya's land was of high quality agriculturally. 80% of Kenya is actually arid and semi-arid, but 80% of the population lives in the 20% that is of high potential and 20% in the other part of Kenya.
There's Kikuyus who've been living in the Rift Valley, who were brought into the Rift Valley, initially as as farm supervisors, and the original owners of the land, the Kalenjin, had been pushed off the land by the colonialists.
And so there are people who consider themselves to be indigenous to certain parts of the country and may either have been displaced because of these various historical factors, or resent the encroachment on their area.
That happened sort of 100 years ago, or and as the further we go, the harder it gets to solve these historical sort of injustices.
At independence, we did not actually address these issues. We did not redistribute the land in a way in which it was felt that it was fair. Instead, we had a situation where the incoming elite then perpetuated some of those injustices.
There was no system put in place to systematically ensure that those areas where education, infrastructure had been neglected would be addressed, so that they would systematically begin to reach the same level where the rest of the country was.
Our political elite has never bothered very much in building a sense of national identity that is shared by all the different communities. As a result, we have deep economic inequalities between regions and between ethnic groups. This is easily politicized, ethnicized, and what has been both ethnicized and politicized is easily militarized.
As the absence of government is proven in parts of Tana River and Samburu and northern Kenya, where government is seldom there and rarely there, then people are taking advantage of it, and they're paying off youths, and they're going off and raiding for cattle or killing for other purposes, and there are fights going on and off there.
With this continued disregard of certain areas, people began to believe that you had to have one of your own, meaning a member from your ethnic community, in leadership positions for you to be able to see development, to see change in your area.
Politicians have been able to, over the years, manipulate this situation to mobilize their respective ethnic groups to keep them in power.
We are beginning to see competition at the county level between communities which want to dominate each other. And that is bringing in a new dimension of violence. Communities beginning to rival, so that we begin to see devolution of violence and even corruption and human rights abuses.
We're losing, our ability to be rational has, we've thrown it out the window. And then if we continue just, sinking and getting caught up in the paranoia and the fear of each other, one of the things that's going to happen is that it'll be like a spark. We're ready. We're literally a match, and all we have to have is somebody to light us. A politician to say something, and we'll be out, killing our neighbors, our former friends. We've all been sucked into something, into stories, and I listen to people around me, and I hear the paranoia and the myth and that is being created among the different camps.
Of course, ethnic orientation still has that overriding factor. in the whole organization and the whole election choices of the country. We are hoping that that will not blind voters to electing leaders that are not capable of running county government affairs.
Kenya needs to address tribe. It has always been there. It's been I remember my parents in the 60s and the 70s, it was a huge, huge elephant sitting in their living room, in our living rooms, but it was in the background. You didn't talk about it openly. And now we are not only talking about it, we're actually dealing with it.